what have you noticed? Because like I haven't floated yet, but we had Josh Emmett. He came on and he talked about how it's been beneficial for him and how he floats often. And he mentioned that like a lot of people will go in there for like hours. Like they'll maybe take some shrooms or they'll smoke something and they'll just go and they'll sit there for hours. What does floating do for people? Because you probably know a lot about that.
It varies on the person.
Okay.
It totally is like what you're going in for. I mean, if it's your first float and you've never had meditation before or just sat in meditation or done that, it could be in there and you're kind of like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to be in here. Like, you're moving all over. What's
the sensation actually?
So the sensation is, it's like the lack of sensation. Ooh. Like the water's heated to 93.5 degrees. So it's surface skin temperature. You have 1,200 pounds of magnesium in there. So you don't really know where the body ends and the water begins. You just kind of submerge in there. You're truly floating like you're in outer space. And then you have the option to turn the lights out and go completely, I mean, it's called sensory deprivation, but then it like your mind fully activates. And, you know, the science of it is, and this is debatable whether it's 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but being in there when our two, like the exterior lobe and the frontal lobe are connected, that's kind of the chatter, the monkey mind is taking place. Well, you go in the tank, what it shows over time, and they've demonstrated this in different lab settings, that starts to separate. And so that's when you get that fully calm, blissful state, just clarity. You come out, everyone always like, it's like float on your problems, float with what's there. And it's not so much you solve the problem, but the problems that don't matter subside. And the thing that actually matters is still going to be there. And then you have direction to move forward in that. So I always take big decisions I'm making, relationship issues or anything. It's like go in there and just like let that be for a bit. And then I'm coming out and I'm just so much more clear and like the bullshit.
I can picture you like punching open the door being like, I got it. Like with a notepad, like trying to write something down real quick.
Bro, that is totally, we got a big post float room at both spaces and we have like journals everywhere. And the things that I just go back there sometimes and read. It's like, I'm just like this wisdom parasite. Like I just want to be like, what are people saying? This shit's crazy. This is so profound and calm. And so it's the cool part of it.
Probably have to check it a few days later and make sure it's like legit. It's like in the moment, sometimes you might think something is an amazing idea, right?
Well, it's a little different than psychedelics. Where psychedelics, you could have the experience and you write some shit after and it is profound. It is real in that moment. Right. And you're like, you read it 3 days later. It's like, that makes no sense to me right now.
I'm glad I didn't tell anybody this idea.
Bro, I've purchased so many URL domains.
Oh, that's
when
great.
I was like, oh, this is a great idea. So I went to the domain and I've purchased like 10.
That's awesome.
What have you purchased?
I ain't gonna go into it, brother. I'm gonna keep that shit to myself.
Are they .coms? Are they .org?
They're .coms. Okay. They're .coms, but like, yeah.
.edu. I think an interesting thing about a float tank, and I've never done it, and I'll definitely take you up on it. Sounds a little scary to me, which is great. You know, I probably could use a dosage of that. I think, you know, our brain is always trying to like problem solve. And so even like, you know, there's a reason why we have all these senses, there's a reason why we have these eyes and these different senses. And what you're mentioning is that it's kind of like pulling a lot of that away from you. And I think what happens is I think your mind gets kind of scrambled by that. You know, if you remember when you're a kid and you're like, trying to play tag in the dark or something like that, it's like you can't see anything. So you're disoriented. You're like unorganized for the first time. You don't know where the walls are. You don't know where things are. And so I'd imagine you're just floating. You probably get so relaxed that you kind of forget almost like what you're floating in and probably don't feel any of that. And then to like not have any gravity on you and not have any like, because there's some weight to gravity no matter how healthy your body is. I could stand here right now and I can feel that like my right knee is a little bit different than my left knee, or you shift your body back and forth and you shift your body back and forth because like one thing is getting tired or bugging you or whatever. I'd imagine in this that like so much of that is probably pulled away. Mm-hmm. And now what are you left with? You're left with your own thoughts. Good luck with that.
It's a radical thing in this day and age to do nothing. Like it's naturally you just want to jump into, oh, I need to do this. I have to do that. And it's like you're paying for 60 minutes where you're actually doing nothing. Like that is very different than what the common space is in society.
Absolutely. And like doing nothing, but also just like listening to nothing. Because whenever we have our downtime, if we're just driving, it's either music or a podcast or maybe a book. And then when you get home, it's a TV. And there's always stuff going in. And there's rarely time that you don't have inputs from outside sources, if you're mindful of that. Some people who are probably ahead of the game have those moments where they don't have anything and they can just be alone with their thoughts. But most of the time, we're just consistently inputting shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild.
And there's inputs of, like you said, gravity. Like that's an input that's always there. Like whether you're sitting and you're adjusting your body and there's like these subconscious cues that are happening where you get in the float tank and it's like, it's the best environment to strip as much external stimuli and external inputs that there is in the world. It's the best environment to go in and truly just be with yourself, which is a powerful and beautiful thing.
Yeah. Power Project family, how's it going? Now on this podcast, Mark, Andrew, and I, we talk about fasting a lot. We talk about the ketogenic diet and a lot of different types of diets, but Bubs Naturals has a product. They have the collagen protein, which is amazing. They have these apple cider vinegar gummies, which are like crack, but they have
They are.
these, they have these MCT oil powder packets that I've never used to do this, but in the morning I'll wake up and I'll put it in coffee, and the smoothness, number one, in terms of the mixing is amazing, but the consistency of my energy through the day because of the MCT oil powder is peak. Andrew, how's your experience with it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It's like the best way to start the day. You're satiated, you're energized, and you're just ready to crush the day. So if you guys want to get in on this MCT oil powder, head over to bubsnaturals.com and at checkout, enter promo code Power Project to save 20% off your entire order. Again, Bubs Naturals, promo code Power Project to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Haven't people like gone into a float tank and actually try to like learn a different language by like listening to stuff?
Yeah, and I think that totally people have done that. I think that stems to kind of why people try and learn languages while they sleep. It's like that subconscious mind. It's like, you know, there's different brainwave states, and floating's considered like the Theta State. It's kind of that space. Best way to describe it is you wake up in the morning, you hit snooze on your alarm, you thought you got out of bed, and you realize you're dreaming. Like you're actually, and you're like, oh, that's where floating kind of takes you down into that brainwave state. So for learning a language, yeah, it's a great place to like take things in on a subconscious level.
Does it feel like it's like, for example, if you go into a float for 60 minutes, does it feel like 60 minutes or does time dilate? And when you get out of there, you felt like you were there for some weird amount of time?
First float is it tends to be the thing a lot of people focus on. Like, have I been in here for 4 hours and did the tank break and it didn't tell me when it was done? Or, you know, it goes for people who get in one breath and then they wake up and, whoa, what happened here? And it varies every single time. I mean, my first 2 years, I literally every time thought the tank would break. Like I was just like, shit, this thing's broken. It forgot to tell me my float's over, and every single time. And that time is a very interesting thing in the float tank.
And what did you do you said you went into the float tank to heal or to recover?
Yeah, so I got into, for two reasons. I came back from my trip. Life is now precious and I want to go do everything I want to go do. And I feel just this revigorated for life. So I was going to Peru to work with ayahuasca. That was back in 2013, which I didn't know anyone that had done it. And I was like, I'm going to the jungle. So that year I used floating to kind of prep my mind, body, and spirit to be like, I want to go spend some time alone. And I wasn't really into meditation at that time. So it was a new thing. And I had some neck and back issues from the accident. So I was going in for a multitude of reasons. Little did I know it was going to turn into kind of my life purpose and my life path of holistic wellness and building companies that's how to tap into the body.
So Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.